Welcome everybody, this is Memory Lane. Bienvenue tout le monde dans ce nouvel épisode. Cette fois-ci, il sera en anglais avec cet artiste basé aux States, full neo soul, full R&B. On écoute. So I had a few questions for your album. There were many details that caught my attention, and I was also caught and amazed by the selection of your featurings, such as Dominique Fils-Aimé, which I had the pleasure to meet and interview when she was in France at Jazz-Avienne. And I really love her music approach, and other people just like Claudia Isaki or Ric Wilson or James Robinson. So, what can you tell me about the selection of your featuring? Why these people, and how did you feel they could serve at best the message you wanted to capture in your album?
Yeah, totally. So. It was a cool mix, actually, probably half and half of people that I had met organically. Like Ric Wilson, for example, we met him in Los Angeles when Black Pumas went there early on, like maybe 2019 or so. And Adrian met him and connected us. My friend Adrian Casada connected us. Mm-hmm. And we stayed in touch. That was during the pandemic, and we would send ideas back and forth and had camaraderie. And then once we got back open, we started he supported Black Pumas on tour. Mm-hmm. So that's how I met Rick. And then Jermaine Holmes, I met him in a studio session for James Robinson, actually. So James Robinson is on the record as well. Yes. But Jermaine, I met through James. So yeah, this is just a nice through line with the American features, that these are just people that I organically met and who I already met in person, already knew their vibe and what type of people they were. Mm-hmm. And then, Claudia and Dominique, through the vault, through the label, I got introduced to them, but it was all organic, Dominique instantly, we shared ideas back and forth, and I sent her 3 tracks and she sent ideas for all 3. Okay. Actually, instantly. And then she messaged me on Instagram, and then we were talking, and she was just saying, like, tell me whatever to do, very humble approach, she had. And same for Claudia, we had a phone call for like 30 minutes to an hour or so. We were just on the same page. Mm-hmm. And so it was really, really cool to just meet people who, beyond just like checking a box and being like, oh, we want an artist from this spot or an artist from this spot of the world, or artists with this many listeners. It just felt like everyone brought their own spiritual nature to the record, and we're just people that I just really enjoy being in space with. Especially someone like Dominique, right, who's looking at her discography, does like a great job of perpetuating like music from the diaspora and what Black music means, So I feel like that is a through line with everyone. Incidentally, it's sort of like the law of attraction. You kind of do it, you work with people, and then when you look back, you're like, oh, everyone has something in common and everyone stands for the same thing. So it's really special to have those people on the record.
Really special, and I do agree. I found it really interesting and meaningful that she opens up the album. One of the mantra of Dominique is love is the healer and music is the tool, and I thought it was the perfect opener for this. And I think this is what black music is supposed to be as well. You mentioned Ric Wilson, and he's also I just discovered him today thanks to your album, and I just found out that he's really into using music as a way of protesting. Was it the same energy, or the same message that you wanted to invite Ric Wilson, or was it for another purpose on the realist?
Yeah, totally. So, yeah, huge fan of Ric because I feel like he uses his platform to consistently protest and like get the word out about certain things. I learned a lot just from following him, and then also whenever you see his live performances, he's a real advocate for like house music, you know, which is a Midwest like Chicago, Detroit thing. This electronic music. He's like really big. He's from Chicago, and like so he really pushes out positivity through like dance, which is, you know, I mean, that's a very, very African thing. You know, that's a very
true
musical thing. You know, it's a very spiritual thing. So yeah, he really just kind of exudes that. Like I just said, you know, I feel like he just exudes that positivity and that protest and everything in between. And just so happened I had this track, and you know, like I said, most of the stuff is up tempo.
Yep.
But I was like, you know, let me send this to him and see what's up. And yeah, he got a really heartfelt verse that he's really happy about at the time when he sent it back. And yeah, when you listen to it, it's a good perspective because he's another musician that's frequently on the road. And if you know my story, my own project I toured quite a little bit. You know, I just got back from Europe with my own trio, but with the Black Pumas, we toured consistently for like 5 years straight. You know, like going for 200 days a year, basically. So Rick is another one that could attest to that. So if you listen to the verse, like he's really talking about what it is to be a performer and tour and like see a different city every day and see these people who are smiling and are happy to see you, but you know, it could feel a little draining, you know, to be the one that has to be plucked from your family and like go on the road and they just get to travel 10 minutes to go to the concert and while you perform for them, you know. So that really was the term. And he did a special thing that I had a lot of collaborators do where I named the track The Realist. It was just an instrumental. I named it The Realist, and we performed it under that name. This is an instrumental, but I sent him the name of the track. Sorry, the track with that name, and then he turned that into an actual message, you know? So it's really cool because it also explores the vibrato of like, who's the realist, like who's the top dog type thing, you know?
True.
And he's kind of like saying like, who's the realist, you know, like it's all perspective, you know, like it doesn't really matter at the end of the day, you know, because we're all fighting for something and some of us are suffering out here.
Okay, all right. Great. I never thought of it as a performer standpoint, and it's really interesting. And it builds the bridge between Claudia Isaki. She's from Paris. She's performs a lot in London, and she just released a track, Back to You, which is actually dedicated to Paris. And she's talking about being homesick. And I was wondering how much can you feel sometimes homesick, you know, always on stage, touring far away from home. Do you have a tour announced in Europe for your own project now?
So I actually was just in Europe 2 weeks ago.
All right.
I just got back last Friday. Whatever that was. But yeah, regardless, totally homesickness is really sort of like the inspiration behind this record. And you know, autobiographical records, or even if they're biographical for someone else, they're usually like, I don't know, filled with like direct meaning and like a voicemail from my dad or something, like just stuff like that I did have. And I was kind of like, oh, I could do this type of record. But then I also was like, you know, let's just make something like with the meaning that's just kind of subdued. And like, I know deep down, like this track means this to me. And my dad was sort of the person where, like a song like Keep On Shining, for example, that'd be the type of song that he would listen to in the driveway and be like, man, stars keep on shining, you know, like he would be real privy to like something like that, like a mantra, or just something with positive affirmations,
Yes.
and that's what I want to fill the record with. But yeah, homesickness for sure. I feel like it comes in two. Now as a man who is a father now, of my own, I have my own daughter and my own family.
Okay.
Going out on the road, like you just miss home so much, and it's like, I was raised in a small town, like in a community that's like, people don't leave really. People live and die there, which I kind of feel like in the bravado of my 20s, I thought that was like, yeah, I made it out. I'm one of the people that made it out. So happy with music success, and I never want to go back home and get, that I feel like I had that energy at first, but now that I'm older, I'm like, what a beautiful thing to like be a part of a community, to be a part of a village, and to know your neighbors. And I would see the same people in school, I would see the same people in church, I would see the same people at the grocery store. So it is like a longing for that. Going all the way back home and building my own family. So missing this home in Austin, but also I have the survivor's guilt of like leaving home and like being in a different state here, even as I am home.
I get that. And finally, you do pay a beautiful tribute to your hometown with the track Augusta Street, Lauroville, in Louisiana. So, please introduce me to Augusta Street. Like, what is it there to see, and how beautiful is it be, or maybe boring? Maybe I don't know, but what is the streets? What does it mean to you?
Yeah, first of all, it's beautiful. To even be talking to someone in France and you talking about Augusta Street in Lauraville, it's just beautiful. But yeah, so. It's a sleepy town. The entire city itself is a population of under 1,000 people. So it's a village. It only has one stoplight. Very small town. We know everybody. The people I was in kindergarten with, I graduated high school with, so yeah, everyone knows everybody. But Augusta Street in particular, it's Booty Road, Butte Road.
Okay.
And then you go off to Augusta Street. So Augusta Street was special, especially growing up. It was a lot of kids. It was like a lot of people our age. It was very vibrant growing up. I remember every Sunday we would just kind of have music playing, and like my aunts and uncles would come over, and we would have that proverbial cookout that people talk about all the time. We do that every week. People would just come out, sing, dance, eat, just hang out, have a good time. So that's the type of world that I grew up in. And Augusta Street in particular, I feel like the main thing is family. It's our family. I mean, I was our house, then my great aunt and one of my great aunts, my Aunt Jerry, and then my other great aunt, my Aunt Mayola. It was just us right there. Then my aunt lived across the street, and one of my cousins lived across the street too. And then that whole block right there was just our family. So yeah, we had a barbershop right across the street. So it was just really a community hub. And because of that too, we had the barbershop across the street. So not only was our family, we had the barbershop across the street, and we had the basketball hoop, in our on our street, on Augusta Street. So because of that, any dudes, all the local people would come. So even people that aren't related to us would just stumble up on our street and like playing basketball and hanging out. And our house had an open door policy. People would just walk in, not even knocking. I really just grew up in a vibrant community. So I think of that with Augusta.
I love it. Well, peaceful neighborhood then. Childhood memories, peaceful neighborhood. Sounds a bit like
for sure.
Like an enjoyable sitcom, because we in France have just pictures of the neighborhoods in some sitcoms or series and stuff like this, and in the beginning of the story, when everything is peaceful, you can remind me of this. So beautiful thing.
I will be remiss to mention though, it was poor, that whole area, but I feel like that's sort of the togetherness, you know, because
I
we're
get it.
sharing meals, we're sharing experiences, you know.
Mm,
And I really, it's funny to say, but I really grew up with being such an optimist, you know,
mm-hmm,
whether looking at the good things that happened growing up or
mm,
looking at the sitcoms on TV myself, actually, you know, just seeing the outside world through that lens. I really
yeah.
didn't let myself be down or think that I didn't have opportunities. I always dreamed and was like, you know, I'm growing up in a cool spot. We got this yard to play in.
Mm,
I got both my parents in there. I have a piano. I have whatever I need, you know,
blessed.
and you know all that stuff. So I feel like that's enough, you know, and I feel like you know that's all you really need.
It's a blessing. And
Hmm.
with this track, Augusta, and what you just
Hmm.
shared with me, and this togetherness, understand a bit more
Hmm.
what you meant on the ground when you said that this is an album that is much bigger than you now. Um, this is bigger than just music.
Hmm.
What do you really mean by that? Do you mean the people around this? What do you mean about that?
Hmm. You know, I feel like I'm all those people from Laurelville. Oddly enough, Laurelville has a lot of musical talent. I have a cousin that's like, you know, toured frequently,
Mm-hmm.
for example, and just all these people like you're just insane musical talent. So I'm not like a rarity, you know.
Mm.
We have, I mean, my cousin just got drafted in the NFL from Laurelville. Like, it's a
Okay.
small town, but like, it's,
Mm.
you know, there's professional athletes and musicians and
Mm.
politicians, and there's somebody that coached for the Dallas Cowboys and all these things, you know, from a little small town. But still, I do feel like I wear the badge of honor because I do feel like I do experience different territories
Mm.
with the type of music that I do and the type of opportunities that I get, you know,
True.
to even come to France so frequently. I feel like I've been to Paris more than I've been to Houston, Texas, man. And that's like 2 hours from here, you know. I feel like I just being able to do certain things that I've done, I get to wear that as a badge of honor. We played in Rennes um, last week, and I was able to just say that this song is called Augusta Street. This is the street I grew up on, and to be able to say that in those spaces, I feel like that's what it means. I feel like it's not just about oh, let me make an album. Because also when thinking about the genre of the music too, that is you know I guess neo soul. We have to distill it
Mm.
to one genre.
Mm-hmm.
I do feel like that's also adventurous now too. So it's also showing that I'm speaking from my heart and not just trying to make I don't know, the record that I think could be the biggest record on earth. If I
Mm.
want to like make something super futuristic, like I feel like I'm staying true to my roots,
I understand.
which is a thread from all the records I made at this point.
I understand. I understand. And on top of that, even
Hmm.
though I don't know how in which place emotionally were you when you were writing this, but when listening to this album, it really feels good. It really brings joy. And I think this mantra, this philosophy around the album is really giving that joy and that peace. And I have one last question about the meaning of the album for the last two tracks of the album. One is by
Hmm.
James Robinson, who's been following you since the Black Power tape and many other projects. Um, I wanted to understand what is for you the meaning of ego death, because I found many explanations about this, and I found it interesting
Hmm.
that just after this track was the word freedom that
Hmm.
was released.
Hmm.
So I know there are some psychedelic meanings. There's some philosophical meanings around it. When I
Hmm.
when I saw this, I was even thinking of the sage mode, when you're really in whole togetherness, in whole harmony with your environment, and you shut down your own conscientious. So I don't know, but I wanted to just to know what was your point of view, and why
Hmm.
make ego death and then freedom in this album.
Yeah, totally. You know, so the album kind of tells a story. You know,
Mm-hmm. True.
I feel like I'm looking at the track list now as I go along, but yeah, Keep on Shining is sort of like the chorus, just kind of like letting you know the tale that's about to begin,
True.
Because if you notice, it's Keep on Shining, then the intro, right? So Keep on
Yes.
Shining is sort of like blanketing over everything else.
Okay.
Then the intro comes into the realist, and I kind of feel like a character just kind of is.
Okay.
I know, right? We're gonna walk through it. So the realist is sort of this character that's like, look, I don't know, man. I'm a humble guy, I'm a jazz musician at my core, I'm just a dude that plays music and got lucky with certain opportunities, but. There's a version of me at 27 that's like, at the Grammys with the Black Pumas and feeling like, this is awesome. I'm touring. This is great. I'm doing the thing. And then realist is sort of me kind of through the veil of Rick kind of realizing that, oh, okay, it's not all that it's cracked up to be. Then Augusta, is kind of like he kind of reminiscing about home, like we talked about already. Tomorrow was kind of finding the spiritual side because Claudia's music is very spiritual, so I'm kind of thinking about that. And I don't know, it's kind of like I'm thrusted back home. So Augusta, I'm living at home. I'm in that mode. Tomorrow, I'm kind of wishing that I could do something. Then I had to get away. Is me getting away and like doing something. The Return of Slick is sort of like a reprise. Then Deep Shadows, Deep Shadows actually made in 2020. Yeah, 2020. This was around the Black Pirate tape. This is around that era. That's why James is on all these tracks. So Deep Shadows, if you listen to the lyrics, I'm talking about lynching and, whatever else, it's like, it really does represent that moment in my real life where like, a lot of things were happening, George Floyd, all these things,
true. 2020,
pandemic.
True.
Yeah, where it was just sort of like, you're faced with that again and you couldn't run away from it. And then, once you get to the ego, death, freedom portion, then it's sort of like, I don't know, that brings me to 2023. So 2023 is when our daughter was born. She was born in June 13th of 2023. And my father was he's in the hospital during that month leading up to the birth of my daughter. So, he passed away 5 days after she was born on June 18th. So, I told friends before that I had an ego death when this happened. And I understand like, well, look, just for me, I'll just answer for myself. I feel like, to have a child, first of all, that's a lot. Once you have a child and you just bring a life into this world, that's enough to change anybody. But then to also lose a parent, within that same week, like it really just changed me. And like I said, I'm not an egotistical person, but I do have a life where like every year it's a certain growth and I'm kind of expecting certain things to happen in my music career at least. So it's like, that sort of made it not matter, but in a beautiful way. And that's when freedom comes in. Because once you have freedom, then you're free to like really express yourself. And one thing I like to do with my albums is like have a nod. Let me double check here. So, actually, it's a good example. So on Earth Sound, for example, which is my first record.
Yes.
At the end of that track was Journeyman and Dungeons, which were like a spiritual jazz songs with acoustic, with upright bass. But earlier in the record is more psychedelic, so it leads you to a moment of peace. And then this album does the same thing. But I think this one's going to be even more significant because honestly, I think my next album will be even more peaceful music, it'll be from a place of freedom, and this creativity. And I don't think it'll be solo piano, but it'll be close to solo piano. It'll be minimal, possibly instrumental again too. So that's just sort of what's represented through the record. It's just me reminiscing on things and then just kind of throwing it away, letting it all die, so that something new could grow from all that. Yeah.
Wow. Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much for digging in. It was really important to me because I'm just discovering your work, and I think that our readers which are jazz enthusiasts will be glad and inspired by your songwriting process. And we have a mantra, like a motto at Sounds So Beautiful, which is we all have a story worth the listen. So he helps connecting a little bit more to your music. I hope we can see you soon here in France. When is the next trip again to Europe or to France? Playing?
Yeah, we're gonna be working on stuff next year.
Next year,
basically, like once a year, try to come back out. So yeah, maybe next fall or spring, maybe we'll see.
All right.
But yeah.
Well,
I'll let you know first.
Thank you very much, and yeah, keep shining on your next projects with more freedom and more peace and more creativity. And yeah, thanks again.
Same to you.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Cheers. Bye.